The conflict between Iran and Israel had been a shadow war for many years. Tensions simmered beneath the surface, occasionally breaking out into smaller targeted actions. In June 2025, this animosity erupted into direct, open military conflict. Israel said it acted to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. Israeli leaders claimed Iran's advancing nuclear program posed an existential threat requiring immediate, decisive action. Iran maintained its nuclear program was for peaceful purposes. This disagreement set the stage for escalation among global powers. The war began on June 13, 2025. That day marked the shift from covert to overt warfare. The conflict would be known as the 12-Day War. It lasted until June 24, 2025. This short but intense period saw an unprecedented exchange of military force between the two nations. The world watched as the Middle East was plunged into a new and dangerous chapter. It was not just a regional fight, it had immediate implications for global stability, energy markets, international relations. Events tested alliances and pushed the region toward a wider conflagration. For years both nations exchanged threats and counter-threats. In the pre-dawn hours of June 13, 2025, the Israel Defense Forces initiated a massive and coordinated attack. The operation was designed to severely cripple Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure in a single, overwhelming blow. The Israeli Air Force was the primary instrument of this assault. Over 200 advanced fighter jets took to the skies, crossing into Iranian airspace in carefully planned waves. Their mission was to hit dozens of high-value targets across the country. The scale of the operation was unprecedented in the history of the shadow war between the two nations. By 6:30 a.m. Israel Daylight Time, the Israeli Air Force had already completed 5 waves of airstrikes. They deployed more than 330 sophisticated munitions against approximately 100 separate targets. These targets were not chosen at random. Critical nuclear facilities, ballistic missile launch sites, military command and control centers, key infrastructure installations that supported Iran's armed forces. The goal was clear: to degrade Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon and to limit its capacity to retaliate effectively. The precision and intensity of the strikes demonstrated extensive planning and intelligence gathering. The attacks targeted some of Iran's most well-known and heavily fortified nuclear sites, Natanz, Fordow. The Isfahan nuclear facility was also hit. Beyond the nuclear program, the strikes aimed to neutralize Iran's conventional military power. Military bases, drone manufacturing plants, naval assets. The strikes were a clear message from Israel that it was willing to take extreme measures to enforce its red lines and protect its national security interests. In addition to striking physical locations, the Israeli operation also targeted key individuals. The attacks reportedly killed several important figures within Iran's military and scientific community. According to Israeli sources, this included successors to Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was the architect of Iran's nuclear program who was assassinated in 2020. Iran later confirmed the deaths of prominent nuclear scientists, Faridun Abbasi, Mohammad Mehdi Tehranchi. These targeted killings were intended to disrupt the leadership and expertise driving Iran's strategic weapons programs, creating a leadership vacuum that would be difficult to fill quickly and causing long-term setbacks to their military and nuclear ambitions. Iran's response to the Israeli strikes was swift and massive, unleashing a barrage of missiles and drones. Within hours of the initial Israeli assault, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched its counterattack. The retaliation was designed to overwhelm Israel's sophisticated air defense systems, Iron Dome, David's Sling. Iran fired over 550 ballistic missiles toward Israel, a number that tested the limits of any defensive network. In addition to the missiles, Iran deployed more than 1,000 one-way attack drones, often called suicide drones, to saturate the skies and strike a wide array of targets across Israeli territory. As the conflict intensified, the United States became directly involved. American military assets stationed in the region, naval destroyers, air defense batteries, played a crucial part in shooting down many incoming projectiles. This support was vital in mitigating damage and casualties within Israel. The American intervention underscored the deep U.S.-Israel military alliance, demonstrating a commitment to defend its key regional partner. The coordinated defensive effort helped prevent an even greater catastrophe. However, the American role soon shifted from defensive to offensive. On June 22, 2025, the United States launched direct strikes inside Iran. This marked a major escalation. turning the conflict into a three-way confrontation. U.S. forces struck three major nuclear sites: Natanz, Isfahan, Fordow. These were the same sites Israel had targeted earlier. The strikes aimed to cripple Iran's nuclear program and signal the U.S. would not tolerate retaliatory aggression. Iran's reaction was immediate. It treated the bombing as a declaration of war and targeted American assets in the region. Iran launched missiles at a major U.S. base in Qatar. The move put the U.S. and Iran in direct fire, a scenario feared by military planners. The attack raised the stakes dramatically, risking wider regional war involving other Gulf states and disrupting global energy supplies. The Middle East was on a knife's edge, with three powerful militaries engaged in combat. The American entry changed the war's trajectory. Combined Israeli and American power put immense pressure on Iran. U.S. strikes showed commitment beyond political support for Israel. Washington used its own military force to enforce strategic objectives. This posture helped bring the conflict to a close as pressure on Iran became unsustainable. The 12-day war inflicted a devastating human toll on both sides, with civilians bearing a heavy burden. In Iran, casualty numbers were high due to the intensity of the Israeli airstrikes, the American airstrikes. Different organizations reported varying figures, but the numbers were consistently in the hundreds. Iran's health ministry reported around 1,062 killed. Human rights activists in Iran reported Israeli strikes had killed 1,190 people and wounded over 4,000.